Put down the hammer, and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show, yeah. Real estate info galore, so listen up, don't miss it. Hosted by the Savvy Landlord, oh.
Yeah, what's going on, Savvy Investors? This is your boy, Van Kallenberg. Little allergies, but that's okay because I'm in it to win it, and I'm here. It feels like a minute since I've been in the studio, but I'm back. Investor Weekend was incredible. I do appreciate all the folks that did come out, all the positive encouragement after the fact. I got a text message the other day, world-class event, and that was from one of the speakers that has spoken, I guess, all over the world, and that was humbling to hear that from him. Thank you so much. Anyway, I've been struggling to figure out what in the world am I going to talk about. I haven't had that much time to really write out full-on podcasts like I have in the past, and so I was working out today, and I was like, man, I'm going to write this one real fast. So I didn't write it. I just threw up some words on a piece of paper, and hopefully this will empower you, encourage you, and move you to whatever you need to be doing. So enough of all that badness. Anyway, my name is Stephen Van Kallenberg. Yep. This is the Savvy Radio Show. Bing, bing, boom, boom. That's how we do. And the subject is making $1 million is easier than a marathon. Now, what in the world? How can you come up with that title? What are you talking about, Van Kallenberg? I know talking third person is kind of bizarre, but, well, let me tell you something. I have made $1 million, a couple of those, and it just seems easier than a marathon. So hopefully this speaks to you, and that you, would pat yourself on the back for keeping going in real estate and being a real estate investor and moving forward and carrying that ball one step at a time. And if you're not a millionaire, or if that's your desire and you know how to run a marathon, apply these variables or principles or thoughts to your investment strategies, and hopefully that you'll get there quicker than you thought was possible. Well, this has been a title that's been on my mind for a long time. I don't know if you follow me at all, and if this is your first time listening, I will try to clue you in, but I was overweight lover for a long time. Struggled with weight majority of probably all of my life, and I just made a commitment 2017 that I'm going to focus on three things. Well, that actually just happened to me in March 1st. Just focus on three things: health and family, single family homes, and what in the world? I just had a freaking... The three things: single family homes, family, and health. Okay, yeah, single family homes, family, and health. Oh my gosh, this sucks already. Bear with me. So I decided, a year ago, I was like, man, I'm going to run a marathon. This dude's run a marathon. My wife runs a marathon, and I'm talking about a half marathon. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. That was a year ago. And then January rolled up, and it was like, boom, you got to run a marathon, fat boy. And that's me. I'm talking to myself, and I was like, woo, okay. And when I first stepped on the pavement, now I ran on the treadmill, thought I was somebody, would work on the elliptical, that's another story. Anyway, I started running this marathon. I started training for this marathon, and it was interesting because it was effing painful. I'm talking about, like, my feet were killing me. I was wheezing. It was like the mental game was so strong that I wanted to quit. I could barely run around the block in my neighborhood. Now, let me fast forward a little bit. The farthest I've ran is probably over 10 miles so far. And at the end of the month, which is like 2-3 weeks from now, I will be running 13 miles. And so my goal was just to accomplish a marathon. It's just funny because it's like this weekend I was telling somebody I was running a marathon. Their eyes light up, and like when I think the word marathon, I'm thinking 26 miles. But to some people, 13 miles is pretty nutty in itself. So, it's just a goal. My wife does it, and I was like, man, I want to do it. And the one thing that I got out of this thing already, so it's only been about 3 months, and I've lost a gang of weight. And I think that's been the greatest result thus far. I mean, I think if you apply that, and I'm going to relate all this to real estate here in a minute, but when you you think that way in real estate as well. You grind it out and you start looking for houses and nothing happens. And you spend money on material, I guess would be like educational material, and relationships, like flying to Mr. Landlord Conference or the Investor Weekend, and nothing seems to progress, or it's not giving the results that you've wanted. Well, since I have been running, and the word here is consistently, I have lost weight. Now, I haven't necessarily gained a bunch of energy. They lose weight. I mean, because it's exhausting to run. I ran this morning only 4 miles, and, I just feel just exhausted. Not in a negative way, just tired. So why is it, to me, when I first started running, I was like, man, everybody wants to make $1 million. I've made $1 million, but I can't run a marathon. And this situation is extremely difficult. And every time I'm running, like one thing is like, one time I was running and I was like, man, you got to maintain. And, it was emotional. And I was like, in real estate, you got to maintain your portfolio. I was like, okay. So, I'm going to relate to another thing that's interesting. I've been coaching a high C person. That's a detailed individual who has a financial background, and he is an interesting individual. And the questions that he would ask every week were just bizarre. He was always looking for a perfect formula. And I was like, okay. That's why I do like math. I wouldn't say I love math. I mean, I love counting money. I guess that's math in its own right? But I was, trying to help this guy, coach this guy. And I mean, he would write spreadsheets, he would write formulas, and he would come in. And every time that we would analyze a real estate deal, it would never be the perfect formula. And I was like, for me, I'm not, I like to be analytical. I don't know if I was necessarily created analytical, but this individual that I was coaching, they're very analytical, and they were looking for a formula, a perfect silver bullet. Well, let me tell you, there is no silver bullet, but there is a plan. Someone has done it before you. Now, you have to adapt that plan. And that was one of the things that I have learned in real estate, in running thus far, is that you can follow a plan. Now, everyone has advice. When you start posting on Facebook, hey, I'm going to run a marathon, and everybody was like giving me, oh, have you gotten the app, Couch to Marathon, Fat Boy to Skinny Boy, I don't know, all these flumpy apps, right? So, when I Googled it up, I really couldn't find anything. I did find a lady, a female, woman, whatever you want to call, plan that looked relatively within reason, run so many miles and then juice it up and run some. But what I realized, now I adapted this gal's plan. It was from like Women's Magazine of Running, which is even more funny. Like if you have a lot of pride, yep, I am copying I'm making my own version. But what I realized as I've been running for 3 months, and I have a lot of time to think, hours at a time, and I realized that it's a plan. It's been done before, and that's just like real estate. Millionaires have been made, and it's been done before. You just have to follow the plan. And honestly, that is what I'm trying to get across and what I'm trying to prove. If you want to be wealthy or a millionaire or whatever, you just need to follow a plan. It's been done. And so I am following a running plan, and I just trust the plan. So you see individuals or insecure individuals out there, there is a formula. It's just called the plan. So let me give you some formulas for you. One is Robert G. Allen, Creating Wealth. That is a formula. That is a plan that I read 20 years ago that I have just adopted and made it my own plan. Now, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that's a great book. That's a philosophy plan. That doesn't tell you how to do it. Robert G. Allen's book, Creating Wealth, has a plan. It says, buy this house, this type of house, this size of house, and then sell this house at a specific time, and then you roll the proceeds into another house, and then you move on. So let's get back to the title. Making $1 million is easier than running a marathon. How can you say that, Van Kellenberg? Well, let me tell you, there is so many variables in running. It scares me every time I step on the pavement. There's something different. Something affects me. Something is bizarre. Here's one. My toenails. If I don't cut my toenails, then my shoes hurt. Yep. The road. There's potholes. If it rains the day before. Obstacles. My health. I hyperextended my knee the other day. How did I do that? I have no idea. I just ran. Maybe I pushed myself too hard on the elliptical. How about wind? It was 20 miles an hour the other day. What the is going on? Weather. Too cold. Like, man, it was 80 degrees last night. This morning I wake up, it's like 45. I got to wear long sleeve. I got to wear pants. My shoes. I was wearing the wrong shoes in the beginning. I Googled it up on Amazon, which is my place. And the shoes, number one shoes for somebody else, but not for me. I realized that New Balance is for big boys. The variables in running are so outrageously crazy. I can go on and on and on. Here's my favorite. Little tight underwear. Yep. This thing called chaffing. What the chaff? Called death? Yeah. Scrape by your ball sack? Yeah. Yeah. There's a product called Glide. Didn't know about it. Okay. You know, boys like me, old school, this thing called Gold Bond. You know, that's how we do. But then there's different types of underwear. One rides, some don't. Come to find out, I'm back to the old school. Jockey tights underwear work for big boy people. There's extra layers there you didn't know that ever existed. All right, so how about the variables for real estate? And these variables are so easy for me to crush, but they're so difficult in running. One is money. Freaking people complain about they can't get in real estate. There's no money. That's just the bogus answer. I think that I was so naive when I started. I just did it. I just asked, would you do owner finance? Would you owner carry if I put down X amount of money? People say that there's not enough deals. There's more deals. I set a goal for 20 houses this year. I'm on the 4th month right now. I'm about to close number 7. Well, I'm on 6 today, and it'll be number 7. Have I tried? No, I wrote it down. That's the simple thing. Either in running or in real estate, write down your blanking goal. Don't be surprised that you don't reach your goals because you don't write them down. That's one thing. Closing is another variable. People get crazy at closing. They don't show up. They forget stuff. This is a sad thing that just happened to me. Here's another variable. Thieves. I closed the deal the other day. The prospective buyer does a walkthrough, and then sometime a couple hours later, someone stole the condenser. My heart broke for those sellers. Flood insurance. Yep. Have I failed in this arena? Yep. I bought a house with cash, thought I was cool. Come to find out, needed to get my cash back out. Call the bank up, try to refi. Bing, bing. You're in a flood zone, Mr. Van Kellenberg. You have this option. None. Here's your option. Double the insurance, add on flood insurance. Well, who deems something? Yeah, it's called FEMA. Anyway, you have to cover flood insurance, which is double the premium, which I think would affect a lot of selling. Now, me, I didn't know what I was doing. I just bought the property because it thought it was an asset. And then we'll go into contractors. Shoot. Contractors, talking about variables, it depends on what weather it is. If it's raining, you can't get a roof done. If they broke up with their girlfriend, if they're high, if it's a holiday. Contractors come and go. I used to just spend a lot of time building relationship with contractors, and when I come to find out, I can't control them. I can't control my children. I can't control anything. Only thing I can control is my own mind, my own emotions, and how I handle situations. Okay. And that's how I'm going to handle this running BS. I jump on the thing I didn't want to run. Even today, the first mile just seems incredible. Now, how do you overcome all this stuff? How do you overcome ghetto contractors? Well, first of all, you should ask questions. You should ask someone that has run a marathon. You should probably ask someone that has dealt with contractors before. I wrote a book on contractors because it's such a big, integral part in the real estate investment success that you should understand that. And I wrote it out of a need. This gal that I met at a conference that didn't want to get into real estate or thought that she couldn't get into real estate because of contractors have burned her before. So it ultimately boils down to this. How bad do you want it? Yep. That was like a purposeful pause. So let me say it one more time. How bad do you want it? One of my friends this last weekend said, what's your why? What's your why boils down to how bad do you want it? And I'm like, man, seriously, I don't want to get choked up. I'm done being fat. I'm done being overweight. I'm done looking in the mirror and seeing my fat hangover. I mean, the other day I was teaching my son how to take a bath. And I was like, boy, you gotta wash your crevices. My boy was like, what is a crevice, Daddy? And I said, son, crevice is what you don't want. That's a little area right here. Let me show you. So I had to pull out my fat and show my son my crevice under my stomach. And I was like, son, you don't want crevices. And that's what you got to do. How bad do you want it? And that's making $1 million seems to be easier than a marathon. How bad do you want it? You know, I'm working out, running again today. And Eric Thomas, and I thought of a bunch of friends, and you got to figure out what sustains you, what motivates you, what gets you going. I hope that this podcast gets you going. The one thing that I learned from Eric Thomas today, it's hard work. These millennials, they don't understand. It takes hard work to be successful in whatever endeavor you want to do. You want to be a millionaire? It takes hard work. It means put down the Ray-Bans. Don't buy Ray-Bans. Put them on eBay. Sell them. Take that money. It's hard work to have freedom in your life. Get rid of the things that you don't need. Get rid of the naysayers, the negative people. Another friend was telling me that his family wears them down, like they're negative. I'm like, in my mind, I just want to just scream and say, cut them off. But, that's not necessarily. So a suggestion that I gave is like, man, my mom, before she came to know Christ, she was super negative, like off the chain negative. Like it drove me bananas. It affected me. And then I realized, as a son, I definitely still need to maintain this relationship with my mom, right? You can't create where you come from. This is where you are. So I would call my mom, because that's what you should do. And I looked at my phone and I'm like, okay, it's 8:11. I'm going to talk to 8:21, 10 minutes. And when that 10 minutes is over, I'm like, Mom, it was great to talk to you. I got to run. I got to get back to work. This is what we do. Talk to you later. And, 10 minutes is manageable than a ton of negativity poured all over you. Sometimes you got to cut your friends out. You got to say, no, I'm out. Sometimes you got to just do the discipline and wake up early in the morning. But ultimately, it boils down to how bad you want it. I think it also boils down to consistency. All right, man, I don't know if this was deep. I don't know, but I know that I need to be dropping podcasts. I know I'm not going to give up. This is not easy, dropping one every day. I appreciate all the folks that continue to encourage me. Help your boy out. Let me know what subjects you want me to cover. Get me juiced up. Yep. Let me give you some things that are coming your way that I'm working on. Yep. And Naked Investor, it's not over. I had to take a break, but I'm bringing it back strong. Thanks for my peeps for reminding me about that. Number 2. Yep. I'm bringing my wife on this deal. My kids were sick last week. I think they're going to get better. We're going to do a bunch of podcasts for the couples out there, for the men that have women in their life that they want to convert over to the real estate team. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're just going to turn on the microphone and let it rip. And that's pretty much it for the moment. I got some cool mystery mans coming back on pretty soon. He's been on hiatus. Got some new folks coming on. Got some good interviews in the works. But leave a comment. And that's it for the moment. My name is Steven Van Kellenberg. You listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Oh, someone brought up to the attention of the day that they didn't get to the old podcast. You got to go to the SavvyRadioShow.com, click on Libsynth, and you can search them all the way back, or you can go on my little blog and you can go by year. I'm still posting up some of the old ones, but that's how you get to the old episodes from all the way back to number 1. And I guess iTunes only cuts them down from so many numbers. Other than that, this is the Savvy Radio Show. Hope to see you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at SavvyRadioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.